Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about why you may always find yourself being the nice guy or the nice girl in relationships, and what deeper roots might actually be existing behind that. What I would urge you to do as you're watching this video is sort of explore, like when you see yourself exhibiting these like nice girl or nice guy patterns, are these things that are you just being kind? And if so, obviously that's a healthy thing. But are these things that lead you to betray yourself, not speak up for your needs, not have boundaries in a relationship, say yes when you mean no? And if so, you might be nice to others, but you're not being very nice to the relationship, to yourself. So I want to explore like what's really going on there beneath the surface, more at a subconscious level, and also a little bit about what you can do to break out of some of these patterns if you find yourself in this position and are starting to realize the actual cost of showing up this way in your life. So the very first thing you need to know is that, of course, we can have the nice guy or nice girl in relationships because this person is kind, is thoughtful, is considerate, is compassionate. Those are characteristics and qualities. This is not to be confused with like this nice guy label who's like always saying yes to everything, always people pleasing everybody, sort of like a pushover sometimes, or like can be wishy-washy with their own boundaries. And if that's the case, that actually may be the example of something called a fawning trauma response. Fawning is spelled F-A-W-N, and the idea, I-N-G, fawn. I told you part of the word. The idea behind it is that we sort of have these 4 trauma responses, and we originally had fight or flight, and then freeze was tacked onto it. And now we have a 4th trauma response that's becoming more popular, and it's known as fawning. And the idea behind fawning at a much deeper level, if we explore it together, is we fawned as children during times that we learned to attach to others when we were put in a position where we felt like people pleasing was the most likely strategy to get our needs met. So if we had really strict parents, if we had parents who weren't really making space to negotiate needs or model healthy communication, if we were terrified of abandonment, terrified of being a burden, terrified of having a conflict in some kind of form, a very common adaptation to that behaviorally is to just people please, to walk on eggshells, to be the good girl or the good boy. And as a result of that, you may have learned that this is what's most likely to get your needs met. And this is part of like how the subconscious mind gets programmed. So what then proceeds to happen is your subconscious mind stays in these behavioral patterns and consistently shows up to recreate these patterns in new relationships. And keep in mind too, that if you had a subconscious program that you developed at a very, very young age, early childhood, unless you actively reprogram that, it's quite unlikely to change because the subconscious has to get really focused on and then targeted and reprogrammed through repetition plus emotion in order for a program to change. So unless you had some kind of different experience in your adult life that consistently really honed in on people pleasing and basically programmed you to feel like the opposite was the only thing that was going to get your needs met, you're unlikely to change it unless, of course, the other thing that you're doing is actual subconscious reprogramming work. So in this case, what's likely to happen is you might have developed something at like 4 years of age, 5 years of age as an adaptation to deal with your environment. And you may still be re-exhibiting that behavior at 45 years of age. And so we have to look at like really breaking this down. I want to like sort of get rid of this idea of like compassion, kindness. We know those are good characteristics and qualities as long as they're coming from a truthful space, right? Don't be kind to somebody if it's not truthful for you. But you may need a boundary with some people instead, right? But in the case of like nice person, like nice guy, nice girl, people pleasing, let's first look at like what this actually costs you, because sometimes just having that first moment of awareness is a bit of a game changer in terms of how we choose to proceed with that behavior. So try to take a look. If you find yourself always being the nice guy or the nice girl in relationships, actually look. Think of a most recent time where you did this. And I want you to ask yourself, was that coming from a place of truth or was that coming from a place of fear? And if that was coming from a place of fear, What is that fear? Let's unpack it. Is it a fear of being rejected? So you think, oh, I have to be nice and kind and violate my own boundaries and only make this about that person's needs and not allow myself to take up space in the world or in this relationship because I believe that then I'm going to be rejected? Are you afraid of getting abandoned? Are you afraid of being disliked? Are you afraid of being some kind of burden in a relationship? So try to really, sorry, I'm having such bad allergies. Try to excuse me. Sorry about that. So try to really unpack that and try to see like, what are the actual dynamics here that you're afraid of? Because that's what you then have to reprogram or recondition, and try to look at like, what does this actually cost me across the course of my life? How does it feel to feel like I can't have needs in a relationship or talk about them? How does it feel to feel like my feelings can't be considered as much as I'm busy considering the other person's feelings and that it's unequal? How does it feel to feel like, oh, I always say yes to everything, and sometimes I'm violating my own boundaries as a consequence of that? Try to really look at all of the costs, and then try to look at like how it would serve you as a person to just take yourself into consideration equally to others. It doesn't have to be that you like, what we're not trying to do is, make others obsolete. Like, we're not trying to say, hey, it's all about you and only you. But I'm trying to say like, hey, can you take yourself equally into consideration? Can you consider yourself as much as you're considering others? And can you see how that would actually lead to a more securely attached relationship dynamic long term? And if you work to reprogram those beliefs, you start seeing the actual cost and you start seeing the benefits of letting these patterns go. And then you do a little bit of exposure work on like showing up, setting boundaries, allowing yourself to take up space, and not coming from this place of fear-based programming. You'll start to see the needle move. And I actually have something you can check out for free for 7 days. It's called our Codependency and Enmeshment course. And a lot of nice guy, nice girl tendencies are actually related to codependency. And what this course essentially does is it helps you break down exactly the codependent beliefs we have. Like, oh, if I don't fix other people's feelings, if I don't, do everything to people please other people, I'm going to be a bad person, or I'm going to be a burden to others, or I'm going to be rejected and abandoned and alone for the rest of my life. And we have these fears that actually drive codependent behavior, and it helps you really isolate what your specific ones are, because there's slightly different for everybody. There's like 10 or 15 in there. And then it helps you recondition these fears. And then it also gives you exact steps you need to actually move through this patterning so you can come out on the other side and do exposure work, to have boundaries, to have a sense of self. And then you won't be the nice guy or nice girl. You'll be the kind, compassionate person that also allows yourself to have boundaries, to take up space in the world, and to say no if something's a no for you. And this will ultimately like really empower you in terms of your own individual self-esteem, your self-confidence, your future relationships. It's such important work to be doing. And it's also what allows you to feel seen, heard, and connected to by others. Because if you're not sharing yourself with somebody, and you're not sharing your inner world and your truth and what your needs and boundaries actually are, then you feel unseen by people in your life. You feel like you don't matter to people around you, because it's like, oh, there's nobody there to consider you, because nobody knows what to consider, because you're not sharing that information with them. So you can check out our codependency course for free for 7 days using the all access link below. That actually gives you access to the whole platform. So you can check out all the courses, take a look around. We have 4 live webinars I do, basically like calls with our students every single week. And I do 2 of them on Saturday, 1 on Friday, 1 on Thursday evening. And then we also have a daily, sometimes 2, sometimes even 3 daily social events. So we've got like communication practice, we've got self-love routines, guided morning and evening meditations and routines, like all these things to just like help you connect with like-minded people, and especially help you connect to yourself. So you can check those all over free for 7 days using the link below. And that is it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching and being here. Please like, share, and subscribe if you are enjoying this channel, and I will see you in the next video.